I'm learning from the best. I'm learning.
Yeah, but yeah, man. It's a lot of groundbreaking things going down right now, man. You know, one thing. Another brother called me years ago from Drew Hill. And he was one of the members of Drew Hill. Well, even years before that, we did a television show with The Truth where we started to bring the truth out nationwide, and me and this other brother created a show called The Hidden Truth. And we were getting pushed back in the 90s because we didn't want the controversial cursing people out, calling the white man the devil. We wanted to actually just bring forth the truth because truth speaks for itself, and the truth itself passed through all boundaries. It doesn't matter. And hearing you on the show today is an example of when nothing is abrasive, when the truth is just the truth, it penetrates. And I thank the Most High for that, because what we've seen back then, what Christ brought, his example of how to deal with this is the pattern we use, and I think that's why we're talking to you now. But, I mean, through the hidden truth, we brought forth the truth, and we woke up the brothers from Boys to Men, Awanye and Sean from Boys to Men.
Wow.
Years ago. And then one
I remember that.
And out of nowhere, one day, the brother from Drew Hill called me. He says, well, listen, I'm from Drew Hill, but you probably don't recognize me. You probably wouldn't recognize me because I'm the guy. I'm just the other guy in Drew Hill. And he says, I'm not the big guy. He says, I'm not the big guy. I'm not the guy with the blonde hair. I'm not Cisco. And I'm not the guy that can dance real well. I'm just the other guy. And he was talking to me. And he was a very humble brother. And he was saying how it affected him. He was living in the Poconos at this time. And he wanted us to come live near him. And I'm like, hey, I don't know about the Poconos, buddy. But anyway, but anyway, he was giving me some insight of the business, and it was probably beyond any step that I've ever achieved in the music business when I was doing music. But he was telling me how it was just weird. He was explaining to me, being we was on this entertainment vibe, how the corporations came up with their emblem, which was like a dragon. And found
Red
out
Dragon.
And they found out that Drew Hill came from some old Druid sorcery type of Celtic ritual, and that's why that group catapulted over everyone at that time. He was mimicking Jodeci, and they ended up becoming bigger than Jodeci.
Yeah.
And he told me that there was this room at Sony. There was this floor in the Sony building in which not too many people went, and every time they would record,
where they pray over the music, satanic rituals, right?
Yeah. He said there was a black door where they would take his masters upstairs. And they wondered, like, what are they taking these masters in this room for? And it was the top guy from Sony, and then some other guy would walk in the room with them, and he wouldn't. And they would babyface all the time. And he was asking the secretary, like, who's going up in this room? Who's in this room? And she kept telling him, listen, mind your business. Stay key to what you're doing here, because some things are above what we need to know. Come to find out, he called me. He says the sister, which is the secretary, got fired. And then she talked to him again and told him. She says that's where they go. It's like it's an old room. similar to how Aleister Crowley used to pray over the Beatles material. They have a top sorcerer that goes into this room and prays subliminal satanic messages into all the music.
Yep.
And all the music have messages.
Yep.
Based on the agenda set forth. And it helped me understand something, and I wanted to say something. There's no such thing as someone being discovered. You have to realize these people have an agenda. Their scripts, everything they have to feed the beast. It has to be a part of their machine in programming. So if they, of course they need actors, they need singers, but, once they have a certain number of singers to bring forth their agenda, they don't need to sign 100 acts or 50 acts or 1,000 acts. You understand? Right. They pick who they want. They already have the producers in place. They have the studios in place. They have the agenda in place, and they have the witchcraft and all that in place, just to feed the machine. So, there's no such thing as we as a people going into their system, changing the system.
This right here we call a magic moment. Right now I'm thinking like, where is this going? What does this track say? I look at music like a puzzle, like I try to figure it out, figure out what I'm gonna say on it, figure out the emotion on the track, what it's saying. Then I go through my Rain Man, then I go through my Rain Man, then I go through my Rain Man, then I go through my Rain Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right on with that, and that's kind of why I was mentioning, even with some, we'll see anything that we denote to be groundbreaking that comes out on a mainstream level, and that's why I was even, commenting about Fahrenheit 9/11. You have to understand that nothing. The movie theaters are not going to play anything that has not been given, the go-ahead, so to speak, to play. And it has to play, like you say, everything is scripted. Everything that comes out has a goal that it's supposed to do. Even to the point that most people don't realize that most of these movies that you see coming out aren't even really making a profit, okay? So what a lot of people think, okay, a movie has a $20 million budget. Oh, man, they profited $40 million. You actually don't get into profits until you make 3 times of what the budget was. So a $20 million budget movie would have to make $60 million in the box office just to break even, because you have theater fees, distribution fees, studio fees, and actor fees, back-end fees, and so forth and so forth. So, and anyone who's been in the industry or gone to, film school dealing with production knows this. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because that lets you know that it's the same thing with the music, how they go in and do what the same thing is being done with the film stock associated with the movies that come out.
Okay. Now, you hit it right on. Now, I don't mean to shift this all the way, but I just want to say a few things before I bail out. I want to continue to hear what y'all have to say, but I wanted to chime in to let brothers and sisters know a few things of what's going on, and I think this falls in line with what you're talking about. And I'm going to say this to all the brothers and sisters that's listening. Of course, Trent, I know you're going to be leaving out soon. I know that you and your people are going to be leaving out soon, and there's others also. I want to say this. Of course, the brothers and sisters that are on the streets in the United Kingdom, and the brothers and sisters that are out there teaching, like the Bar and the brothers are still holding it down in the United States. Of course, I know y'all going to be shouting the banter, come out of them, my people, spiritually and physically, until you are no longer there. We understand it. But I'm to a point where it's not about convincing, as far as I'm concerned. It's not about convincing people to come out anymore, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to where I am. I know you brothers out on the street right now, and if I was out there on the street with you, I would be saying, listen, this is what the Most High is saying, come out. I think that our focus needs to shift now that we know to come out. What do we do to prepare for those that will come out when the hell hits the fan? Right. So regardless of whether or not anybody believes that we should leave, the fact that we believe it is what we should act on. It's not about convincing somebody and just going, let's go to Jeremiah, let's go here, let's go there, because if a person that don't want to believe, they're not going to believe. That's just the way it is. And so we have to focus on those that do believe, and we have to focus on what we need to do to have a base spiritually and physically, so that people have options all around the earth, no matter where they are. Now, the second thing I was going to mention is that, and this is key, what I'm about to say is key point in the news right now, that I don't think brothers and sisters know what this implies. Like, today, I thought that they were going to probably not pass this bill. I thought that maybe they would just flash the bill out there and give Barack Obama a champion stance to veto it or just say that he's against it. I thought they was going to play it one way or the other. You don't know how these things are going to go sometimes. But they just flat out, man, they approved this bill that declares the whole world a battlefield, and that they can detain citizens anywhere in the United States. They can detain them, and they can hold them indefinitely. This is FEMA. This is the New World Order. This is exactly what we were talking about when we was on those streets, and people weren't even talking about FEMA. They wasn't even talking about anything. And we were telling people, listen, this is what they're going to do. It's going to be forced inoculations, forced vaccinations. They're coming after us, and what they're claiming to be just locking up suspects. It has nothing to do with suspects, brothers and sisters. We are the suspects. The Most High, I'm going to tell you, we've been suspect from day one, since walking off those ships. Since the Mayflower hit Plymouth Rock, we've been suspect. We are the suspect. So they're looking to detain us, destroy us, and kill us. They're looking to eradicate the seed of Jacob. You understand? And they're passing these bills irregardless of approval amongst their constituents. They could care less what you say. Let me tell you, Senate, Congress, and your elected officials, you're not paying them enough. This is a capitalistic society, and your tax money does not compare to what the elite is giving them. They are bought and paid for, and they're just dealing with their own lives. So at this point, we have to think about how to use the internet and use any resources we have while we have a chance. We have